All right. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's up, y'all? It's your man, Stephen Bartle, coming at you with another edition of Bartle's Breakdown. I'm your host, and I have a friend and a guest on today, special guest, Eldridge Recasner. Eldridge, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to be on with the Black Anthony Bourdain.
You couldn't wait to say that, could you?
Couldn't wait, man. Wait for 2 days to say that.
Oh, wow. That's all right. Eldridge, ladies and gentlemen, is a New Orleans native, so this man knows food, and he's talking about my food show that I do, America Loves Food and Sport. Good call, Eldridge. I love that. How you doing, man?
You had me wanting to try the honey butter chicken, man.
Hey, check it out. It's for real. I'm telling you. So, hey, man, how are you and your family doing under the COVID-19 situation?
You know, everybody's good. It was a little scary at first because the first cases were actually here in Washington, in the next little city over from us, Kirkland. I live in Bellevue, and Kirkland's only about 15 minutes away. So it's been a pretty scary time, man. So we just been hunkered down, staying in the house, trying to make the best of it, trying to gut it out like everybody else.
So in your local community, is it like a ghost town? Is it tough for people to get out?
You know, Steve, I went out last night for the first time, man, in about 17 days. I made a couple of short runs to the grocery store, but I was getting a little bit of cabin fever, so I took a drive around the city last night, and there's nobody out on the streets, man. I mean, I went downtown Seattle. There's nobody. It was about 6 p.m., and it was like a ghost town. So people are really taking this serious out here and trying to be safe.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that because we're not getting that kind of cooperation around the country, unfortunately. So,
yeah.
Well, let's transition to some more fun things like your background through basketball. Because Eldridge, to me, you've got a great story. You know, you're from New Orleans. How did you get introduced to the game of basketball?
I got introduced to the game of basketball by my uncles. You know, my first love was football. I honestly thought I was going to be the next Lynn Swan and playing NFL. And when I got to high school, I was about 5'9", 125. I said, this ain't going to work. But I hung out with my mom's younger brothers. They were my uncles, man. They should take me to the playground. I would sit out there and watch them play when I was real little. And then when I got up to enough age to get out there and try to shoot around and play with them, that's how I got started. But introduced to the game by my uncles. Yep.
And so, Eldridge, did you grow up around the same time as Donald Royal?
Me, Donald Royal, Avery Johnson, Robert Pack, Jaren Jackson, we all grew up together in the city of New Orleans, man. Yeah, we were all in high school in the mid-'80s.
So you all kind of ushered in an era of basketball to the city because obviously Louisiana, definitely football country, but it seems like you guys had some great talent there while you were in high school.
Well, Donald was one of the first ones to get a really big scholarship. Donald Roy went to St. Aug, which is the same high school Avery Johnson went to. There was a guy named Juden Smith that had gone to UTEP. But the big one was a guy named Perry McDonald, man. He went to Georgetown.
Yep.
And everybody wanted to go to Georgetown. So that kind of opened up the floodgates. Perry went there. He was followed by Jaren Jackson and Jonathan Edwards. And then it was Dwayne Bryant. So everybody wanted to go play in the Big East and play for Georgetown out of New Orleans.
Oh, that's okay. So that's how that pipeline started. Okay. All right. And then, so you playing in high school. Obviously, you're doing your thing. You and Robert Pack are high school teammates. Where were your top 3 to 5 schools that you were looking to go, Eldridge?
You know, Steve, I wasn't highly recruited, man. I think the best team we had when I was in high school was my junior year before Robert Pack got there.
Okay.
You know, I started with 4 seniors. We were really, really good, man. We just couldn't beat this school called Booker T. You know, Booker T. Washington had a guy, man. He was a grown goddamn man in high school. His name was Michael Bullock, and you know, we couldn't handle him. But you talk about my senior year, I just wasn't recruited by a lot of people. We started the year 16-2, and I hurt my ankle really bad, so I didn't have a chance to finish out the season. I didn't play in the state playoffs or the city playoffs, so I wasn't that highly recruited. My top schools were the University of New Orleans, Creighton, where Willis Reed was coaching. He had Benoit Benjamin.
Yep.
Indiana Tech, where Andy Russo was coaching. He had Karl Malone.
Yep.
And then Tulane was recruiting me as well, but you're a basketball historian. Stephen, you probably remember John Hot Rod Williams.
Yes, sir.
He put the program on Well, they got the death penalty. They just cut out basketball altogether. So I really thought I was going to go to Louisiana Tech. That's where I thought I was going to go. But the coach that I played for, Andy Russo, Karl Malone, went hardship, went into the draft. Benoit Benjamin went hardship from Creighton and went into the draft. But the funny thing was when I went to Creighton, they were telling me, oh, you want to come here because Karl Malone is going to go pro. Then when I went to Louisiana Tech, they were saying, you want to come here because Benoit Benjamin is going to go pro. And they both went pro. And my coach took a bigger job. He left Louisiana Tech, came out here to Washington, and he asked me if I wanted to go. And honestly, I told him no. I said because I don't know anything about the University of Washington. I don't know anything about Seattle. But my dad pretty much made the decision, man. He was like, that's the Pac-10. It's a great conference. That's where UCLA is. That's where USC is. You're going. And I said, I am. And he was like, yeah. So that was that story.
See, that's old school. I love Mr. Recasner for that right there, man.
I didn't have much to say so at all in that decision.
Yeah, but you know what, Eldridge, it's good that those fathers have the understanding that you're not choosing for the next 4 years, you're choosing for the next 40. And obviously that decision has panned out well for you.
Yep.
So you get to Washington, and you're a 3-time All Pac-12 performer. But did you redshirt your freshman year, Eldridge?
Yes, I redshirted my freshman year because the coach took the job late. He picked up 2 junior college guys and me, and I was the only freshman. He said he didn't want me to be in the class by myself. So, I redshirted, man, and my dad was pissed. I'll never forget it. He had bought a VCR hot off somebody. I don't know, if you're listening what the word hot is, but, somebody selling something off the street.
Yeah.
He had bought a VCR. He had bought a nice color TV. And when he found out I was redshirted, he threatened to take me out of school. He sold the VCR. He sold the TV. It was hilarious, man. Yeah.
Oh, hey, it sounds like I need to get your dad on here. Shoot, that's all right. So then you start playing, and you have a tremendous career at Washington. Why do you think you had so much success?
Bardo, to be honest with you, man, I was from the inner city in New Orleans. I mean, it was straight hood. I hear a lot about Chicago and the rough neighborhoods, and I grew up in an area called the Lower Ninth Ward. I'm pretty sure everybody heard of it after Hurricane Katrina. And it was rough, man. It was like crabs in a bucket. We had so many guys with talent, but nobody really gave a damn. My team, my junior year, the one that I told you about that I thought was the best, everybody on my team could have played in the Pac-10 back then, but none of them got scholarships. So I just got lucky, man. I don't know, by the grace of God, somebody saw me and, I ended up coming up here to the University of Washington. And to be honest with you, Bardo, I didn't know really how good I was, man. I had heard about Pooh Richardson and Reggie Miller and guys like that, and I was like, wow, these guys are some of the best players in college basketball. But when I got out there, I was like, hey, wait a minute. You got a pretty nice game, too. You can hang with these guys. So I just think a lot of it has to do with exposure, man. I was in a city that didn't have an NBA team. Right. We didn't have a really good college basketball teams. Like I said, Tulane got put on a death penalty. The University of New Orleans wasn't very good. So you didn't really have nobody to judge yourself by, like a guy like yourself that could be in Chicago and get in a pickup game with some college guys or some pro guys. We just didn't have that in New Orleans.
And so how was the adjustment, Eldridge, from being a New Orleans native to going way far out to the northwest of Seattle? How was that adjustment for you?
No, it was culture shock, man. Come on, Bardo. I was from the hood. First and foremost, your listeners probably ain't going to believe this, but I didn't know anybody white.
Oh, I know New Orleans, so I feel you on that.
Oh, man, look, I had 2 white teachers. That's it. But as far as knowing somebody white my own age, I didn't know anybody white. Now, all of a sudden, I'm at a school that's got like 40,000 white people and about 500 blacks. I was culture shocked, man. I'll never forget it. I had a white roommate my freshman year. And I moved in early because I was an athlete. And I remember when he moved in, I was like, wow, I got a white roommate. So this was before cell phones and emails and all that. So I ran downstairs to the payphone. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you're not going to believe this. I got a white roommate. And she was like, boy, you better go back up to your room. But I just was freaked out, man, because, in New Orleans, my whole neighborhood was black. My whole school was black. All 10 schools in my district were black. And we played a couple of white schools when I was in high school, but, all they would do is hold the ball the whole time. They would stall the game. The score would be 16-12. We would win. But the people were really nice, man. I will say that. I love my time at the University of Washington. I'm still in Seattle, so obviously I love something about it. But it's a great city. But I miss home. New Orleans is home for me.
So I want the young viewers to just pick up on what he just said. So he went from an inner city neighborhood and went to, cross country to a different situation, totally different environment, and yet he was still able to thrive. He survived a redshirt freshman year, was all Pac-12 3 seasons. That's not. I think he was the first 3-time captain in Husky history. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
What was it about it, Eldridge, that the coaching staff just felt so strongly about you being the team captain?
You know, I don't know, Bardo. I was just hungry, man. You know, I was hungry, and I loved the game. You know, I remember when I came up on my recruiting trip, you probably remember a guy named Chris Velt. Detlef was one of the greatest players in history of the school. He had just left, but we had a guy named Chris Velt that was 7 foot. And then we had another 7-foot guy named Flosey. So I drove to the basket, and Chris blocked my shot without jumping. So I was like, well, wait a minute. This ain't going to work. And, you know, I thought I had some hots back in the day. I could dunk this stuff. So that was the first time that I went back home and I really thought about working on my jump shot. Because in high school, I was 6'3", but I was super athletic. I could get to the rim. I could jump over people. But I realized at that point I had to develop a shot because I couldn't shoot really hardly at all in high school, Bardo. I just went to the rack, man. We just pressed and trapped, got in transition. You know, we was like, that's all we want. I didn't care if I scored a basket in high school. I swear to God. I just wanted to dunk on somebody. That was it. If I got one dunk, I was happy. This goes to show you how things have changed. But I think Chris Velt left after my freshman year. It was a new coach that came in. So a lot of guys transferred. So all of a sudden, my sophomore year, I'm like the veteran guy on the team.
Okay.
So I think that has a lot to do with it. If we had a few more older guys that had a pretty decent game, maybe things would have worked out differently. But I can honestly say, looking back, my sophomore year was the best year of my college career, without a doubt.
Okay, why do you say that?
I just had a great year, man. I felt like I couldn't miss the whole damn season. You know, we played Arizona. They were number 1 in the country. We lost, but I had 29. And as a matter of fact, one of my cousins from Chicago, I think it's Mount Carmel. Is that right? Is that the high school?
Yes.
We went to Mount Carmel. He came up here to Seattle. We're playing Arizona, number 1 in the country. He's like, you're going to go for 30. I'm like, fool, you crazy. This is Arizona. They number 1 in the country. And I did, man. So it just goes to show you just never know. But I just had a great year. You know, that kind of put me on the map as far as basketball out here on the West Coast. People back east and Midwest probably still didn't know who I was. But on the West Coast, I had finally made a name for myself.
So, Eldridge, you're 3-time all Pac-12 performer, and Pac-10 then, correct?
Yep.
And so, did you go undrafted?
Went undrafted, yeah.
How does that happen?
I see the look on your face, so imagine the look on my face. You know, we got a new coach, Bardo, and you opened up some bad feelings now, but we got a new coach my senior year, and the guy just didn't like me, man.
Okay.
I hardly ever practiced on offense in practice. I mean, it was unreal. My first meeting with him, he told me, you know, you've had a pretty nice career. You should think about taking your little ass overseas. And I was like, whoa, you know, my dream is to play in the NBA. And I'll never forget, he looked me dead in my eye and he said, well, if you come back with the same attitude, you're going to find yourself playing less and less. And pretty soon you ain't going to be playing at all. So I was like, you don't even know me. And he said, well, I'm former FBI. I did my background check. Get your ass out of my office.
Wow.
And that was until my senior year, man. I mean, Bardo, it was so bad. When we played teams like SC, George Raveling would come to me and say, man, I see what's going on. If you need any help, you know, just give me a call. And it'd be the same thing when we went to UCLA, and it'd be the same thing with Lute Olson when we went to Arizona. But I still thought I had done enough to get drafted because me and you are the same class.
Yep.
19. I thought I had did enough to get drafted. And I'm going to make your show good, man, because I'm going to be straight up honest with your viewers.
Please
I
do.
thought I would get invited to some seniors tournaments to be able to show people what I can do. And I wasn't invited to anything, man. It's almost like I got blackballed. You know, it was unreal. And I kept waiting, and nothing ever happened, man. Then when I finally go to Summer League, I run into Gary Payton and Judd Bushler and Trevor Wilson. It was like, man, we didn't know you still wanted to play basketball. You know, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? He was like, well, man, your name was on this list for this all-star tournament and that all-star tournament, and we didn't see you. We didn't think you wanted to play. I was never given the letter, Steve. You know, and that's sad, man. But the reason why I wasn't drafted is I got a new coach my senior year, and he wanted to get rid of, you've seen this story 1,000 times, man. He just wanted to get rid of all the previous coaches, players, and bring his own in.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can understand now why I wanted to bring my friend Eldridge Recasner on, because he got a fantastic story, but he's a straight up dude. And he's always been this way. Ever since I've known him, ever since we were battling back in the CBA, always been a straight up cat, man. So E, where did you go? Did you go CBA or did you go overseas that first year?
I went overseas. I went to Germany. I didn't know what I was going to do, Bardo. You know, I honestly thought I would get drafted. I think my first team I tried out with the New Jersey Nets. I'll never forget it. You remember Tate, George?
Oh, very, very well.
Me and Tate were roommates in the summer league, and, you know, I thought I played great, but Tate was the draft pick. I was undrafted guy, so I got cut. Then all of a sudden I'm sitting back at home trying to figure out, you know, what I'm going to do. I had offer for the CBA. Everybody was talking about how terrible the CBA was, and, you know, you're on the bus, you're this, you don't make any money and that. And looking back, man, I really wish I'd have went to the CBA first. But I went to Germany. There was a guy named Les Habeger who used to be the general manager for the Seattle Supersonics. He knew a guy named Terry Schofield who played for John Wooden at UCLA on those great teams in the 60s. And he just made a phone call, told a guy who I was. The next thing I know, I was on a plane to Bamberg, Germany, man. And that's where I spent my first year out of college, over in Germany.
Okay, so why do you say now that you should have gone CBA instead of going to Germany first?
Because out of sight, out of mind. You know, if you're in the minor leagues where the teams can see you, you're going to get a shot. If you're overseas, hell, they don't know what you're doing, man. Scouting wasn't like that back then, bro.
That's true.
In 1990 like it is now. I mean, people had to physically get on the plane and come and see you play. Wasn't anything broadcast over the internet and all that stuff, so it was just different. Okay,
so now you come back and you're in the CBA, and you tear the CBA up. In terms of like you were a CBA champion, CBA MVP. How did it click for you when you got to the CBA?
You know, when I first got there, we were the doormat of the league. I played for the Yakima Sun Kings. You played in the CBA, so you know, but we were the laughing stock of the league, man. And you know, guys were living like we were in the league. That's you know, we would go to Quad Cities and Sioux Falls and Rapid City, and they'd be kicking it. I'm just like, no, man, I ain't trying to make no career out of this, you know. I want to get the hell out of here. So my first year was kind of like an adjustment period. And I think I averaged 17, 18. We were still bad. But then my last year, man, I'll never forget, Bardo. I said, this is it, man. I said, I gotta get out of here. I was working out with Sonics in the summertime here in Seattle. So I knew I could play because I was playing against pros every day during the summer, and I was holding my own. And I'll never forget, guys were getting called up. And I just looked in the mirror one day and I said, E, you got to play so well that you give them no choice but to call you up. I said, just give it everything you got, man. And it got to the point, Bardo, I swear to God, you were in the league, you know, we would play against teams and guys on the other team would be like, damn, El, you're killing. Yeah. How come you're not called up? Yeah. And I said, man, no, I said, but all I can do is keep trying. And by the grace of God, man, I tell you how things work. And this is for all the young people out there. Listen, never let anybody tell you what you can't do. I went from playing for the Yakima Sun Kings to playing for the world champion Houston Rockets. And man, I tell you, talk about a dream come true. That I couldn't believe it, Bardo. When Rudy Tomjanovich called me and told me that they wanted to sign me, I was like, excuse me? He said, yeah, we want to sign you. Man, I just remember letting out this loud scream on the deck of my little house that I had back then. And just what a great feeling, man, you know, to achieve a dream like that and be given that kind of opportunity. But, you know, it just goes to show if you're willing to pay the price and not listen to the naysayers, anything is possible.
I want to circle back because I want to let our viewers know Eldridge talked about his game. He was athletic, he was 6'3", and he would only go to the hole. Eldridge finished his career as a 41% three-point shooter at the NBA level. So obviously there was a whole lot of work in between the time that Eldridge was relying on his athleticism to the time that he was a killer, because he was a killer when you played against him. Everybody will tell you, he'll come at your neck. But he also developed that three-point shot. When did you realize you needed to develop that three-point shot to be so successful, Eldridge?
Bardo, I think, you know, I remember you were a great athlete, man. You know, when you're in high school, you might have one or two guys in your league that's taller than 6'8". So if you're 6'3" and athletic, you can do whatever you want. But when you get to college, and this is the main thing that I don't think, not so much kids, but with adults, when you're playing pickup, You're playing against the 6'4" guy, and he's posting up, and he thinks he's a big man. And you're looking at it when you've played in the league. You're like, dude, you're a guard in the NBA.
Right.
I mean, they used to think I was a big man to pick up ball. So I think that's what did it. When I got to college and I played against guys like Anthony Cook at Arizona, you know, Sean Elliott, these big guys that were just as athletic as I was, but hell, they were 6'9", 6'8", 6'10". I realized, I said, going to the hole, that ain't gonna work, man. You got to develop a jump shot. So I'll never forget it, Bardo. We got our intramural center on campus. It's called the IMA. And I remember just one summer in there, man, and all I did was work on my jump shot. I had borrowed a book from one of my high school teammates. It was called The Art of Shooting by Lieberman. And I just stood in there, man, and I just worked on my shot. And I did that every day. And when I started having a little bit of success, I was hooked. So after that, I was a gym rat. When everybody else was going out kicking it, man, I was in the gym working on my game, you know. And next thing you know, like I told you, my sophomore year, I didn't feel like I could miss, brother. I'm not lying to you, man. I mean, that basket looked as big as the ocean to me because I had put the work in.
That's right. No, that's great. All right, man. So I'm gonna go to your pro career, and you had a situation that it was crazy, man. You had a car accident, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that was man, that whole year was crazy. That year was kind of like not as bad as what we're going through now, but it was just absolutely bananas, man. I don't know if you remember Ray Caruth, the football player.
Very well.
Tried to kill his girlfriend. That's the same year Bobby Fields died.
Oh wow, that's right.
So I had my accident before Bobby passed away, and I can remember like it was yesterday, man. My wife was pregnant. She was pregnant with my third daughter, and she was coming in the next day. So it was Baron Davis's birthday, and he kept telling me, "Come on, E, we got to go out because your wife is coming. You're gonna be on lockdown." I'm like, "Nah, BD, I'm good, man. My wife is coming tomorrow. I ain't messing with y'all tonight. Come on, man, last time." So we all went out to a comedy show, you know, having a good time. And then on the way back, I got a ride home with Derek Coleman. And we turned to go into our apartment complex, but we turned right in front of a semi, man. And Bardo, as God is my witness, this goes to show you how good God is, man. The last thing I can remember is turning and looking out the window of, he had a Range Rover, and thank God he had a Range Rover because it had some of the best safety technology that was on the market at that time. But the last thing I can remember is looking out the window and just seeing these lights right up on us. The next thing I remember after that is being in the hospital, man, with just a whole bunch of people all over me, you know, and it was just crazy, man. I don't remember anything from the accident. You know, I saw the lights, and then the next thing I saw was just a bunch of doctors and nurses all over me trying to save my life, you know, in a hospital there in Charlotte. So that was the scariest time in my life right there. Even though I don't remember what happened, I knew it was bad.
So what injuries did you suffer in that accident?
I had a collapsed lung. I had a fractured right collarbone on my shooting arm. It was bad, man. And I remember, you know, you hear a lot about opioids right now. I remember I was on Oxycontin, so I can laugh about it now. So when one of the reporters asked me how long I thought I was going to be out, I said 2 weeks. And everybody was looking at me like I was crazy, Bardo. But that's how powerful that drug was, man. It had me feeling good. And they were looking like 2 weeks, fool, you're going to be out the whole year. But I just had no idea, man.
Yeah. So then that year, that was towards the back end of your career because it affected the way you played after that, correct?
Oh, it affected because I didn't play at all.
Right.
That was 2000. I had just signed with Charlotte in 98-99 season. I signed a 4-year deal. And a lot of bad blood came out of that, man. You know, the team was obviously trying to keep everything in-house and under wraps, and some stuff was said, and I said some stuff, and then that was it, man. I wasn't going to play after that. I knew it. They knew it. We all knew it. But I had a 4-year contract, and I had 3 years left. So it was a real awkward and an unfortunate situation, man. It really was. Yeah.
Well, you made a good transition because you went into coaching after that, correct?
No, man, I went into real estate. So my passion outside of basketball has always been messing with houses, Bardo. You know, and I think it stems from my grandfather. When I was a little kid, you know, my grandfather built – my whole family lived in one block in New Orleans. You know, we were – it's one thing to be ghetto and it's another thing to be country. But when you country ghetto, that's like – but that's what we were. We were country ghetto, man. But my grandfather owned half the block. And he had built the house that we lived in. So he was always, if he wasn't working on one of the rental houses that he had that all of his kids lived in, he was working on somebody else's house. And I would always hang out with him, man. So when I went to the University of Washington, I wanted to be an architect. You know, I got accepted to the School of Architecture. So I was always fascinated by housing. So when I finished playing, I went and I became a real estate investor. So I would buy, you know, the worst house on the block at a foreclosure, fix it up, sit on it for a while and sell it. And I really enjoyed it, man. And I did that up until about 2016, but I really got hammered in 2008 during the housing crisis. I was lucky to hang on. And about 2016, 17, I sold one of my last rentals, man. So I got out of that. But yeah, when I finished playing in 2002, I went right into the real estate investor thing.
And so I'm imagining that a lot of the lessons that you learned through basketball, you were able to apply in the real estate field.
Yeah, I think the main one was if you bust your behind and work hard, there'll be a great reward. You know, I did the work, Bardo. I didn't just buy the house. I mean, I did the work, man. I was in there like I call you the black Anthony Bourdain. I was the black Bob Vila, man. I was in there getting after it, but I loved it. You know, the only thing I didn't do was electrical. I've always kind of been afraid of electrical.
Okay.
But changing walls, putting them back together, you know, landscaping, roofing, man, I did all of that stuff, man. And I absolutely loved it, man. I mean, because I had the freedom to do my own thing. And that's what it's like in basketball, you know. For the kids out there, coach might not like you, but once you step on that court, man, it ain't nothing that they can do. It's on you.
That's right.
You gotta perform. I mean, I remember getting cut, Bardo, and you know this, because you went through the same thing probably. Yep. I remember getting, because I played the way I thought the coaches wanted me to play. And then when I got cut, I said, damn, I wish I'd have went out there and just did what I knew how to do, man. And after a couple times, because I think I got cut 5 years in a row, man. Okay. I didn't make it until I was 27. I was a 27-year-old, and Rudy Tom Johnson was calling me Rook. I said, Coach, I'm 27. He's like, yeah, but you're a rookie. So his nickname he was Rook. But I think that's the biggest thing that I learned, Bardo. If you're willing to pay the price and work hard, man, as a reward for you. And every time I sold one of them houses, I didn't have to pay anybody. All the profits came to me. So it was really a fun time in my life. It's something that I wish I could still be doing, but I don't have a loop like that no more, man, with 4 kids.
Oh, I know that's right. I know that's right. Eldridge also is a color analyst for the Pac-12 Network. He does a great job. He's been in studio. He does games. Can you talk about that experience, Eldridge?
Yeah, I'll talk about that experience, but I got to talk about the person that's responsible for me getting there, man, and that's you. I mean, I'm serious. You're laughing, but I'm dead serious, man. I think, you know, I think as a black person, obviously, I know you don't take it lightly, and I don't take it lightly. But when I look out there, man, and all I see is people that look like us on the court. And when you see the guys that's talking about the game, nobody looks like us. That's right. Not many guys look like us. So I don't take it lightly, but I can't thank you enough, man. I was knocking on the door, Bardo, knocking, and nobody was answering. I remember asking you because I used to watch you on TV, man, and I love your work. And I said, man, how did you get in? What did you do? Blah, 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 blah. And you introduced me to Odell Hawkins, who used to work for the Big Ten Network. And, man, I got in. And I can't thank you enough. I can't thank O enough. But it's crazy, man, to think you know so much about basketball and you got so much to offer. But you just don't see people that look like us doing it. And that bothers me then, and it still bothers me today. So, excuse me. Whenever I'm on TV, man, I take the approach that I hope a little kid is looking at me and saying, man, I want to be like that guy. Yep. So it's important for me to talk like we talk when we at the family barbecue. I can't get up there and be all corny. That ain't me, man. That's what I love about Gus Johnson. It's one thing I love about Marcus Johnson. It's one thing I love about you, man. I see you guys, I'm like, wow, man. I just smile, man, because it's just so nice to see black men in a positive light doing what they love, but they're not it's so-called selling out to do it.
There you go. Well said, Eldridge. And thanks for sharing that, man, because that gives people a sense of our friendship, how far back we go. And, you know, here's the thing. When you're playing basketball against one another, Barack Obama and Arnie Duncan will try to play pickup with people if they're trying to hire people. Arnie Duncan was a former Secretary of Education, one of Barack's good friends.
Yeah.
they use basketball to make high-level decisions. And so I played against Eldridge for years. I knew he was tough. He didn't talk smack. His teammates loved playing with him, and I know he was coachable. And he worked his butt off. So I knew when he came to me and we talked, I was like, well, man, this is going to be easy. Because I don't see anybody from University of Washington doing games, right? I didn't see anybody doing games. And who would be more, fit for the job than Eldridge Recasner, one of the best players who ever played in the program. So it was easy for me to introduce you to Odelay because, I knew you'd be that type of competitor in person, and I knew you'd take the opportunity seriously. So thanks for sharing that. Real quick, we're going to wrap up here in a minute, but I want to ask you a couple things about how do you feel about the way the game is played at the NBA level right now?
Before I answer that question, I want to go back, and I just want to say this for not for the kids, but for the adults that's out there listening. We got to help each other out more, man. When I say I'm grateful, Bardo, I mean that from the bottom of my heart, man. The ones of us that do get into positions to reach back and pull somebody up, I don't think we do it as much as we should. Agreed. It ain't got nothing to do with talent. It's all – look at the White House, man. I used to think to be president, you got to be a genius. That's pretty damn clear that ain't the case. You just need the opportunity. Somebody got to be willing to give you a shot. Somebody got to be willing to make a phone call for you, man. So we need to do more of that. I've been watching your shows. BJ Armstrong, me and BJ played together in Charlotte. And I tell you what, man, I didn't even know BJ was from Detroit. Yeah. I watched the show with Lloyd. I met Lloyd at some of the NBA Players Association events, and I network with you guys all the time. I talk to Lloyd all the time. I talk to BJ all the time. I saw you had Aaron Williams on there. I remember Aaron Williams from the CBA. So we just got to do more reaching back, helping one another out, man, because that's what it's all about. What I don't like about the game today, all your young people, they're going to be pissed at me now because it ain't the same competition, man.
Agreed.
I mean, when we got up, Bardo, it was physical. You could get punked.
Yes.
You can't punk no more. Now, I'm not saying Steph Curry ain't great. He is. I think he's the greatest shooter that ever played. But he came down our area doing all of that cute stuff, talking smack. Somebody was gonna put the wood on him, man. If your young viewers has never saw what Karl Malone did to Isaiah Thomas, Google Karl Malone, Isaiah Thomas, and see what happened there. I remember when I had a little bounce, but if I went to the hole and dunked on Charles Oakley or somebody, the next time I went to the hole, I was looking around because I knew I was gonna get taken out of there, man. So I mean, I think we got some great players, but it feels like it's more entertainment than competition to me. I don't like threes. When I hear Rick Carlisle, who played in our era, talk about, well, the post up is a low percentage shot, I damn near had an aneurysm, man, because I played with Elijah Wan. I'm like, I'll take Elijah Wan in the post up any day over Joel Embiid shooting a three.
That's right.
But it's a copycat world and it's a copycat league. Golden State has some success playing their style. Now everybody thinks that they can do it.
And you know what, Eldridge? You make great points. And I want to go back to that Golden State thing. How does the NBA try to emulate them when they have the best backcourt shooting tandem in NBA history? Why does the NBA try to follow them and not have Utah Jazz pick and roll? Detroit had a separate way of playing. Philadelphia had a certain way of playing. Chicago did something, triangle offense. Why aren't we seeing, you said copycat, but why aren't we seeing some individuality out of the NBA right now?
I think it's a copycat league, man. You hit the nail on the head. I remember when Mark Jackson was coaching Golden State, and he said he thought, this was before Steph Curry and Klay Thompson really became the Splash Brothers, and he said he thought they were the best two shooters in the history of the NBA, and I said, wow. I got I said, that's a huge compliment. And I remember watching one of your previous shows. I don't know who it was with, but, back in the day, Bardo, NBA teams used to take on the personality of their city, man. Chicago, right. Detroit, tough. LA, Showtime, fast break, running. Phoenix, Showtime, fast break, running. Chicago, grit. I don't know what the hell happened, man. Like you said, when you play Utah, you know you was going to get a dose of pick and roll all day long, and that's the only team I've ever – John Stockton is the only guy I've ever played against where I wanted to come out of the game. I was hoping Rudy Tomjanovich took me out because he was killing me in the pick and roll, man. I was running into Karl Malone and Mark Eaton. I was like, you know what? He was getting open. It was giving him the rock on the other end. I would get open with nobody give me the rock. I was like, man, take me out of this game. But you're right. Everybody had a style. Everybody had a style now, and it was different. You go to Detroit, man, it was tough. You go to Chicago, it was the Knicks.
Yeah, the
Man,
Knicks are physical.
Indiana,
Yep.
it was physical. Everybody took on the personality of the city, and now everybody's just playing copycat basketball. Man, I played for the Houston Rockets, but I don't like watching them play with Harden out there dribbling 30 times. And I'll watch the games with my wife. My wife be pissed. Look at him. All he's doing is dribbling. Pass the damn ball. She's even mad. But, you know, I guess that's just the way it is, man. No other team that I've seen got two great shooters like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Now, James Harden's a bad boy. Offensively, he's dynamite, man. But he can't shoot the rock like those guys can, not from three. And I just don't think they're going to win a championship playing that style.
I agree. All right, so this is the fun portion of the interview. Who is a guy that you had a difficult time guarding up, one of the toughest matchups you ever had, but he never made the league?
Oh, man, this guy, I don't even know his name, Bardo, but there's a guy that played at the University of Nevada in Reno. Man, he was killing me. He was in college, Bardo. I don't even know his name, man, but I thought he was fantastic. If we go back to our CBA days, man. I don't know if you remember what's the guard, Jay. He passed away, but I'm trying to think of Jay's name. He was real strong.
From Eastern Illinois. Jay,
Yeah.
You talk about the 6'1"?
Yeah, real strong.
Yeah.
He had a nice game. There was a guy named Alfonso Ford that played for the Tri-City Chinook. They used to give us the business, you know, and Jerry Stackhouse's half brother, man, his stepbrother. What's his stepbrother's name? He had a one leg. Oh man, Tony Dawson was just amazing in the CBA, man. I still tell today they don't know how he didn't make it because he was phenomenal. Yeah, he really was.
You know why he didn't make it? He smoked too much weed.
Well, he fit right in now.
That's true. That's a great point. If you could have had a chance to play for any coach, who would it have been?
Oh, Jerry Sloan.
Why?
Yeah, without a doubt, because I was a system guy, Bardo. You know what I mean? I came off screens and stuff like that. I wasn't no Tim Hardaway, Kyrie Irving, you know, Steph Curry that could just put on the floor and create my own shot. And I just always admired the way they played, man. I mean, I played in the NBA for 8 years, and I'm telling you, sometimes I'll be wide open and the stars will be like, yeah, I see you, but get the hell out the way. I got the score. And I always admired the way Utah played. Like I tell you, they ran that high post UCLA offense, and when John Stockton hit that wing and cut off Karl Malone on one side and Mark Eaton on the other side, he was going to get open because you just couldn't get around those guys. And when he got open, they gave him the ball. I think another guy that I really liked, he used to coach the Sacramento Kings. That's who's the Kings coach? He went on to coach Minnesota.
Not Flip Saunders.
No, not Flip. It was before Flip. Rick Adelman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When he played with when he coached Sacramento, man, I thought they played the same way. But I think number one on my list would be Jerry Sloan. I just always admired the way his teams played. I thought he made average guys look good because they had a great system, man. And he just kind of subbed those pieces in. Yep.
Was there a player that you tried to emulate, try to, pattern your game after when you were coming up?
Man, I wanted to be Dr. J like probably everybody else in our area. Doc was my guy. I think not only because he was a great basketball player, I just think the way he carried himself, man, with class and I think, as a kid, you need heroes, and at that particular time, man, he was a positive light. He's a lot like LeBron James was now, but Doc to me was bigger than life, man. So that's what I wanted to be like. But hell, I ended up being just 6'3". I couldn't jump like he could jump, so I was like, well, that ain't gonna work. I ain't gonna be going to the whole dunking on everybody. I got to try to figure out something else. So that's when I started working on my shot, man. But Doc was my guy, like millions of other kids, man. I still admire him to this day. Doc is a great guy, man. I see him every year at either the Summer League or All-Star Weekend, and he's always gracious with his time. But that's the guy that really wanted me to play basketball. That's the guy that I wouldn't miss when his games was on TV, man. If Doc was playing, I was in front of the TV watching.
No, that's right. And Eldridge, you still are forming a chapter of the Retired Players Association out in Seattle?
Bardo, I would like to. I haven't said anything to our organization yet, but I would really like to, man. We've got some heavy hitters out here, and Lenny Wilkins, Bill Russell, Downtown Freddie Brown's out here, Jack Sikma's out here, Detlef Shrimp, Sean Kemp. We got some newly retired guys, Brandon Roy. Look like, unfortunately, Jamal Crawford career is probably over. So we've got a lot of guys that I think could do great things here in the Northwest, man. So I would really, really like to form a chapter of the National Basketball Retired Players Association out here. And when all this coronavirus stuff settles down, I'm going to bring that up to our board of directors for sure.
Well, let me know, man, if because I love the city of Seattle. I know many people probably haven't been out there and experienced it, but it's a wonderful place. And, you got my support. Anything I can do, I'll jump on the plane and come out there and help you.
You don't know this, man, but when y'all made the Final Four, I saw you guys downtown walking around. I was like, man, the fight in the line now. Y'all was some bad boys, man. Y'all was some bad boys back in the day, Bardo. I remember y'all coming up here, man, and so much has changed. Seattle's a great city. But I just want to thank you for having me on, man. I love what you're doing. And I'm serious, man. You know, when this stuff settles down, if you ever want to go to New Orleans and do one of your food shows, I want to be there with you for sure.
We are going to make that happen. We're going to get 2 segments in different restaurants down there because I know you got the goods on some New Orleans restaurants.
Oh, man, it's the best food in the world, in my opinion. You know, shrimp po' boys, hot sausage po' boys, boiled shrimp, boiled crawfish, gumbo, red beans, right? It's the best, man. You would be in heaven, that's for sure.
All right, so I'm gonna have to loosen my belt when we go down there and eat. You know what I'm gonna do? Well, Eldridge Recasner, where can people find you on social media?
I'm at Recasner on Twitter and on Instagram. Yep.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see why this is one of my favorite people. Not basketball players, one of my favorite people, Eldridge Recasner. Thank you for joining. That'll do it for this edition of Bardo's Breakdown. You guys stay strong, stay safe, check on your loved ones, check on those that are by themselves because this is a critical time and we need to get through this together. So that'll do it for this edition of Bardo's Breakdown. Until next time, peace. You were great, man. This is the best interview we've had, bro.